Hello world, it's Carole from Viva Vacation and I've got my husband Bernie with me.
Hello, world.
Today we're going to be doing our fifth podcast for our 30-day European adventure, and what an adventure it's been so far.
Oh, it sure has. It's been crazy busy, but so much fun.
So much fun and so much things that we've seen. It's almost been overwhelming. But today's podcast will take us to the beautiful, beautiful countries of Greece and Turkey, which we saw on different stops of our 14-day cruise on the Enchanted Princess. Some of these stops were some of our favorites, and we'll start with the first one, which was on the island of Crete in Greece. So Crete is actually the largest and most populous of the Greek islands. It is in the south, and it was very, very, very different from the stops that we had done up to that point. We started off. It was a chill day, like we'd say, for our cruise. We had not booked any tours, and we kind of wanted to explore it on our own.
Yeah, we decided to kind of take it easy, not get involved in a tour, and just kind of have a light day because we've been pretty tired. So
Yeah. So we started off and we just got on a hop on, hop off bus. We kind of like these. It gives us a great feel for the city. The bus takes you around town. You can have a look at, what the city looks like and what it feels like for a very low cost. So we started with that in the morning, and then around lunchtime, we exited the bus and visited the walking streets in the downtown core.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, we just kind of walked around and kind of got immersed in the culture and looked at the little shops. A beautiful downtown area, beautiful little walking street with all kinds of shops selling souvenirs and art and local crafts, and of course the usual watches and gold and jewelry, but really nice stops. And we stopped for lunch at this really nice little restaurant off to the side and had a great coffee there, and just relaxed, and they were playing some just cool jazz music, so it was kind of nice.
Yeah, if you like Greek food, my God, we had a great meal here. And it was actually probably the least expensive meal
Yeah,
we've had
yeah.
on our entire trip. Like, if I do the comparison for the quality versus the price, I think this beat it all. I I rarely talk about food, but for me, this was a highlight food wise.
Yeah, it's definitely very good food in there.
Now, Crete is also known for its beautiful beaches. We did not make our way to the beach area on this day. Like I said, we were kind of just taking it easy on this day. So, but it is known for its beautiful beaches. We could see them from afar, but we didn't make our way to those areas.
Yeah, that's right.
So the next stop was actually in Turkey. Neither of us had been to Turkey before, and sometimes you kind of you make an idea in your mind of what a country or what a city is going to feel and look like. I think Turkey for me was the one that surprised me the most.
Yeah, I think I feel the same way.
So the first stop was actually Kusadasi. Its name means Bird Island, because the island is shaped as a bird's head. It is on the west coast of Turkey and on the Aegean coast. And this was our first stop in Turkey. So on this day, we opted to do a tour of the Ephesus lost city. It's basically a city that was
Yeah, it's an archaeological site right now. It's the city that no longer exists, and the story, from what I remember, is it used to be connected to the sea, and it was a major port in its time. And what was it? BC sometime, 500
Built
BC.
built in the 10th century before Christ.
Yeah, so it used to be a major port, and it's been occupied. It was occupied by Romans and Greeks. And what happened is the river that was the port filled up with silt, so the city eventually kind of just stopped to exist in terms of just being feasible as a port. So, but we saw a lot of ruins this trip and a lot of old cities, and Ephesus really was. It was kind of it was a really neat one. It was kind of different from Pompeii and different from what we saw in Greece, but it was, I think, one of my favorite ones, anyways, in terms of ruins to see. You really got an idea of the city and what it was like. So just really nice.
Yeah, and to make things even better on that day, our tour guide was really amazing.
Oh yeah, he was so knowledgeable and just a great sense of humor as well. And
yeah. No, it was awesome. And we, like, as we were going to the Ephesus ruin site, we obviously drove around in the bus and saw a bit of the city. And I think this is where we got surprised the most. It was such a modern city. And beautiful. Like we would drive up top and we could see, the coast and the beaches, and it was a beautiful city.
Yeah, so it's a Muslim city, of course, Muslim country. So this was our first exposure to that sort of culture. So it was kind of neat to hear the prayers being broadcast throughout the different times of the day, being broadcast throughout the city. So it's a really kind of a neat experience. You feel that kind of belief, religious belief in the population, but they still kind of go about their business. So yeah, really interesting. But modern city, I think it's considered like a resort town in Turkey, and a lot of Europeans come there to visit and play and have a vacation as well. So yeah, really modern amenities, beautiful coastal city.
Yeah, you mentioned the prayers. We heard the prayers like in the morning from our cruise ship. When we left in the evening, it was that loud that you could hear it almost within the entire city. So that was kind of a neat experience. So that was our first stop in Turkey, and then the next day was our second stop, and this was Istanbul, which was
yeah, wow.
wow, I can't even find the words.
Yeah.
So Turkey, from what we understand, has about 85 million people, and 25 million of those people live in Istanbul, and we could definitely feel the population, not just with the people living there, but all the tourists. And of course, us being in the tourist areas, it was a crazy busy day.
Yeah, and it was a very rainy day as well. And in fact, at times it was downpouring, but it didn't affect the city at all. Business kept humming and moving along, and lots of things going on.
Yeah. Speaking of rain, if you're going on this type of trip in the future, please be prepared. Bring your rain gear, bring your umbrella, check the weather forecast for the day, and be prepared, because we were on tour with a lot of people who were not prepared. And let me tell you, it wasn't the same experience for us as it was for them.
Yeah. But also, if you do forget your stuff, there's always somebody there willing to sell you a €5 umbrella that's worth about $2.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's always somebody willing to sell you what you need. But it's always better to be prepared. I felt like we were ready for the day, rain or shine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we were making the most of it. So in Istanbul, we actually visited 3 sites. We visited the Blue Mosque, the Hagia Sophia, which is another mosque, weirdly enough, right next to the Blue Mosque. And then we went to the Grand Bazaar, which was an experience.
Yeah, that was really cool.
So the mosque,
yeah, we were talking about that when we were there. Like it's a very different experience than those big basilicas and churches that we've seen in England and Spain. But it's still so it's just spectacular. You walk in there, these big giant domed roofs with paintings and tile. The Blue Mosque has all those blue ceramic tiles that is just stunning, and the light coming through the windows, it's just amazing. But be prepared for crowds because it is crowded, and sometimes you want to try to go to a place to see something, and it's waiting 20 minutes
just to take a picture.
Just to take a picture to walk. Yeah. And the same thing coming in and coming out. We waited a long queue all around to go in, but it's worth it. Don't let the crowds dissuade you or make you not want to go. It's definitely worth seeing these mosques.
This is just to warn you to have a lot of patience.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Because really, we've seen a lot of sites in the last few weeks, and there's crowds everywhere. So you need to be patient. You're on vacation. You're there to see something amazing. So that's the key thing there. But Istanbul, like Kusadasi, was a very modern city. Like, we were very surprised at how modern it is for an ancient country kind of thing. The Grand Bazaar, we only had about an hour to visit that. And after like being in the rain all day, we were hungry, so we opted to go to a little cafe and grab a bite to eat, and then do maybe like 40 minutes in the bazaar. We wanted to experience that. So I mean, you could get lost in there. It's so big, but it kind of like, there was so many jewelry shops and so many souvenir shops, and it's an experience.
Yeah, it's definitely something worth seeing. If you're in Istanbul, go check out the Grand Bazaar. It's worth it. Just walking around, looking at things. You don't need to buy anything, but there's still some deals to be had if you're looking for jewelry or little pieces of art. I think we bought a couple of cool little trinkets for not a lot of money, just to say that we got something, and great little souvenirs.
Yeah. So Istanbul was a great, I guess, surprise. I guess I hadn't read enough about it. But it was a wonderful surprise.
And the way that we came in through the cruise ship in the port is also a neat way to see Istanbul, because I still have that image in my mind, and I think I always will as we're leaving the city. Just that big sky view of Istanbul and all the bridges and the boat traffic, and just
the view from the ship was amazing.
It's amazing coming in and leaving a city of that size through its port. It's just a whole different type of experience than just flying into an airport and being taxied away somewhere. So anyways, it's a neat way to travel.
But for Europe in general, for our entire cruise, I think we could say that of a lot of the cities we went.
Absolutely, yeah.
Istanbul was another level for sure, but
yeah, that's right.
So the next stop was the Greek island of Mykonos in the Aegean Sea. Mykonos, again, I mean, when people are going to ask what was your favorite, I don't know that we will be able to say what our favorite was, because we had so many. But Mykonos, what a beautiful, picturesque Greek island. I think that's the one we took the most beautiful pictures in.
Yeah.
Just the stone
walkways and paths
and everything in white. So all the houses there are in cement, right?
Yeah, some
painted
sort of cement,
white.
Painted white with blue shutters for the most part.
Yeah.
The colors of Greek, the blue and the white. So it really is a stunning contrast to the landscape, which is a lot of rocks and shrubbery. And so you see these beautiful little square-ish blue houses with outdoor patios scattered throughout the island, and in the main section of the downtown, right on the beach. It's just beautiful little touristy spot with all kinds of cafes facing the water, so people are there, having a glass of wine or a beer or some food. And we did the same thing. Actually, we sat down and had some drinks and just kind of people watched on this beautiful little walkway. And I took some great photos. The light was so good there with the white and the blue, and it was a kind of not cloudy day, but not a fully sunny day. So some of those pictures are just so nice.
Yeah, it was a magical place, I guess. I can imagine the party life. I've read about the party life in the nightlife in Mykonos, but I could imagine it just seeing it during the day. But definitely, if you have a chance to stop there or to visit, The only thing I would say about Mykonos is it was very expensive.
Yeah, it definitely is high end tourist expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. So by visiting there on a stop from a cruise, for us it was the ideal situation. So our cruise actually stopped in Athens, and we decided to spend 2 days there after our cruise, as neither of us have had been to Athens before. um, just to give you an idea, Greece has about 10 million people in the entire country, and 5 million, or half of the population, is located in Athens. So Athens is very much a large, populous city, and you can feel that all around it. So the first thing we did when we arrived in Athens, so we dropped off our luggage after our cruise, and we decided to walk to the what do
The
you
Pantheon?
no, the Olympic venue.
Oh yeah. I can't remember what it's called either.
Yeah, it starts with a Pantheartic or something like that. It's where the first Olympics were held.
First modern Olympics.
Modern Olympics. I think it was in 1896. Weirdly enough, the athletes all competed nude. And it was walking distance from our hotel. Our hotel was a very great location. If you didn't have a car, you could pretty much walk anywhere in the city. So in that morning or early afternoon, we visited that site. It was, for somebody who likes sports and the Olympic movement, it was really neat. Just the seating all in marble, huge stadium. It was kind of surreal. And then we made our way to the hall, I guess. It was like kind of an underground hallway where the athletes would have come out at that time into the stadium, which was also kind of neat.
Yeah, and very old stones, and that led up to, I think that was called the museum, but it was this little building section that had all kinds of all the historical posters of the Olympics, and all the torches that were used during those Olympics. So it was neat to see the Canadian 1976 Olympic poster and the torch that we used there. It kind of brought back some memories of those Olympics. And yeah, a neat site. Not a long visit there.
Yeah.
But still a really cool little introduction to Athens.
Yep. And that evening we had booked a bike tour. Like we mentioned in past podcasts, we feel it's a very good value because you get to see kind of the highlights of the city on bike in a way that you couldn't get to sometimes with a car, and this was an example of it.
And this is another example where it was just the two of us. Nobody else had booked a tour, so we had a
private tour.
The guy to herself, who was really nice guy, and really knowledgeable about the city, and he took us to great places. He took us to Phoenix Hill, which is apparently the birthplace of democracy, where people could go and share their ideas or propose their ideas, and the people who were allowed to vote, if there was democracy, but in a controlled way, those who were able to vote would vote on whether to enact this law or this project for the city of Athens to build this stadium or this theater. So it was kind of neat to see that there we're the birthplace of democracy. And actually right now it's an open air park that's open 24 hours a day, and people can go there and just soak it all in and enjoy the park. And it was a beautiful park, and we probably never would have seen that by ourselves unless we would have done some research. But the bike tour guy brought us there, so it was really cool to see that.
But the view he brought us on both sides, so we saw the city from up top, including a beautiful view of Acropolis from there.
Yeah.
And then he brought us to the other side where you could see the coastline. So it was very, very neat. I like that part being open 24 hours a day. You could see children's having, like, there were children's parties there that day. Birthday parties. So it's kind of neat to see that. And he brought us around, like, we saw all the highlights that, of Athens in that bike tour.
Yeah, we biked down these kind of tiny, narrow little streets with so many pedestrians and people zooming in and out. So it was kind of fun.
Yeah, I think that was the bike tour that was most challenging because you really had to concentrate on. There were so many people, you didn't want to hit anyone, and on top of that, the roads being so narrow. You also had to watch for cars and like motorcycles. And anyway, it was, for a part of it at least, it was a bit stressful, but we survived.
We survived, yeah. Live to tell the tale in a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. We did walk that day into a part of town. What do you call that? The market part?
Oh, I think it was called the Roman market in kind of big terms, but I'm sure it had a name that it escapes me now. But
yeah, that was a neat experience as well. Like, it's a really neat part of town. Like, it's pedestrian streets, lots of vendors, lots of cafes and restaurants, lots of gelato. You have to have gelato at least twice a day. I mean,
that's right. Yeah. We also, I can't remember if we walked or biked or maybe both on the oldest continuously named street in history, and I don't remember the name right now, but that's kind of one of the things that the bike guide said as well. So we did go on that street both by walking and by biking, and that's part of that Roman market area as well. So it's still an active market area today as it was in 500 BC or something. So that's amazing history when you think of those things.
Actually, we saw the changing of the guard as well on that tour.
That's right. That was kind of neat too.
Yeah. A very simple procedure or event, but nonetheless kind of special to see.
Yeah.
So we were kind of under the weather in Athens. And the next day we had booked a tour of Acropolis. But, when you're on vacation, unless you're kind of hospital bound, you got to get up and go, and because you might not have that opportunity ever again. So
that's right. Yeah, I think I was kind of hallucinating that morning, but
he pulled through.
Yeah.
We put some meds into him, and out he went. So Acropolis was another amazing site to visit. We did not, it was very, 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 very hot that day, and we were not feeling up to par. So we did not go to the museum itself. We just visited the site.
Yeah.
But such history. And we were part of a tour that day with a great guide.
Yeah, Demos. He was a great guide. Very knowledgeable, very friendly. Yeah, and just so knowledgeable. You can tell. I mean, they do this for a living, but this guy was quite good.
So.
Yeah, so we kind of gradually climbed up to the Acropolis and stopped all along the way with some explanations of one of the first theaters, and theaters in Greek were also kind of social comment in Greece were also kind of social commentary and made to teach people about the city and about politics. So very different than today, which is kind of theaters about entertainment and distraction and forgetting. But in ancient Athens, it was about ideas and making people think. And for those who couldn't, who had to work, there was some law where you could be paid to go see the theater. I'm sure it was kind of complex, but you could take the kind of a paid day off and go see these theaters because they were so educational and informative and talked about the culture and history. So it was kind of neat.
Yeah.
And the climb up to the Acropolis itself is amazing. You're kind of gradually going up and you start seeing glimpses of it, and then you get to the top and it's like, wow, it's so amazing. It's hard to describe. I think there's some good pictures on the Viva website as well.
Yeah.
But concerts are still going on there, and now currently. So this summer, for example, I saw a poster for a band called Kraftwerk, which is a German electro pop band, and they're playing there this summer. So I can just imagine, those bands playing in the Acropolis. It's just so spectacular. What a concert site that must be.
Yeah.
And then we continued to climb up to the Pantheon, up way at the top of the hill, and kind of walked around there and just spent some time just looking at the city and looking at Athens and just thinking about all that happened there. It's just amazing when you think about it, the history. And Athens has been destroyed and rebuilt several times during the wars with the Persians. So just an amazing city with so much history. And the Greek people I found really warm and friendly and full of life and just nice. I really enjoyed Greece. I thought it was a great country. I think it's a place I'd go again.
Yeah, definitely. Greece was a highlight. So we finished off that day basically going through the market area again, grabbing supper, and I think we had an early night that day, trying to recuperate to be able to fly out the next day to Paris. So, but all in all, Athens, a beautiful, beautiful city.
Mm-hmm.
Highly recommend if you get a chance to go.
Yeah, we stayed in the Plaka district, which is a really nice touristy district. We had a small kind of boutique type hotel, but great service. Very knowledgeable front desk staff who gave us directions and all kinds of things. So, that's a nice touristy area to stay in.
So that brought us to the end of our cruise. Perhaps just a few comments. Well, first of all, a cruise gives you a different kind of adventure in the sense that you get the same, let's say, cabin or hotel room every night. You don't have to unpack. You get at night you can enjoy a nice meal on the ship, go to entertainment. But during the day, you get to see so many different countries and cities. It is a glimpse. It is a highlight and not an in-depth visit of a certain city. But like we mentioned before, it's a great way to experience the highlights. And then if you want to return to a certain country or city that you really liked to visit more in depth, it's a great way to do it. We found that the transit, I guess, or the like we've seen 6 different countries in Europe, and really getting by, like I guess that's the point of the European Union, but it was quite easy.
There's just no transition from one country to the next. You just cross the border, get in off the ship, and boom, you're in another country. So it was really compared to what we see in North America between Canada and the U.S. and Mexico, and some of the Caribbean islands. It's just easy.
Very, very easy. I think we only got our passport asked when we arrived in Barcelona by air. We saw a customs officer there, but he didn't even say anything. He opened our passport and stamped it, and that was it. So very easy to get around in Europe. The cruise that we had chosen as well is I call it an open-ended. So it starts in a certain city and ends in another city. And for me, that's a big plus than doing a return to the same city, because what you can do is tag on a few days before and a few days after, and you get to see that city a little bit more in depth. So that for me is a plus. But all in all, we had a great 2 weeks cruise. We weren't sure. It was the first time we did a cruise that long. We weren't sure if it's going to be too much, but I actually really liked the 2 weeks.
2 weeks was a good amount of time on a cruise, especially seeing something so beautiful and different every day. There's a couple of days at sea, I think, in total, but those were great to just recharge and relax and sit on a deck chair and have a drink with an umbrella in it and do some reading, just to recharge.
And I know it's probably not always like that, but the seas were very, very calm when we were sailing, not sailing, but you know what I mean. So most of the time you couldn't even tell you were on a cruise ship. So I think that wraps up our 5th podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And we please listen in for our last one, the 6th one, which will be on Paris. So until next time, viva vacation.
Bye, everyone.